spoiler phobes, you have stumbled into A Storm of Spoilers, a Star Wars special where we are covering the second season of the Disney Plus streaming series Andor in 4 chunks, just like they dropped on that streaming service. This week, we are focusing on episodes 7, 8, and 9, where some bad stuff happens to Ghorman. But discussion can include content from the Star Wars movies, Star Wars TV shows, Star Wars novels, Star Wars comics, and video games, maybe. You know, the Star Wars universe. There's a shorter part of this podcast called The Storm, as in A Storm of Spoilers, where we can discuss the final batch of 3 episodes of Andor Season 2 and other things happening around the galaxy. We're not ruining, we're enriching, and we're taking down the Empire. Hello, I'm Dave Gonzalez, and I'm just here so that the Senate can meet quorum for this morning's session. I don't really know why I'm here.
And I'm Neil Miller, and I am displaying an inexplicable resistance to imperial norms.
Inexplicable. Welcome back to A Storm of Spoilers as we're covering Andor Season 2. You can email the show at stormofspoilers@gmail.com. Got some great emails this week. We're going to cite some of them. I do have one correction in my trivia with Joanna last week. Apparently, I decided the 13th Warrior was not a 1999 movie that maybe would have played against the Phantom Menace, but a movie that actually opened in May 2002 playing against Attack of the Clones, which it is not. I was going to put Spider-Man in that spot, and then somehow I guess got too many tabs open brain and just sort of clicked over and did 13th Warrior. So maybe Joanna didn't need that point, but slight spoilers for the trivia you're about to hear. The trivia game has gone rogue. Stay tuned. Please review us in the iTunes podcast app or on Spotify. You could leave us 5-star rating. You could say whatever you want. You could leave us comments. Dan reviewed us 5 stars, just said, welcome home. Glad to be back. I think that was directed at Joanna Robinson, our guest from last week. But it's also good to be back on the Storm of Spoilers feed. Upcoming schedule. Next week, we are going to finish off Andor Season 2. Next Wednesday, you will get that podcast. Also, that next Wednesday, we will tell you what's coming up next on Star Wars Spoilers. Hint, there's going to be some Rogue One special right afterwards, just so we could smash all that Star Wars together. If you like more of me and Neil, you could follow us on YouTube. We're at youtube.com/@DA70ANDNEIL. There you could see video versions of these podcasts. Maybe you're watching us now. You could join us at patreon.com/DA70ANDNEIL for bonus content from previous seasons of Storm of Spoilers, including the Lost rewatch series that happened during the pandemic with Joanna. That was super fun. Twin Repeaks, where Neil gets to see Twin Peaks for the first time. And Let the Mystery Be, a Leftovers watch, where Neil and I both watched David Lindelof's series, The Leftovers, I think at the perfect time. Some people might say 10 years too late. And now we're in the middle of Eat the Rude, a Hannibal rewatch. You could get those episodes over at patreon.com/DaveandNeil, plus our weekly pop culture adventure. This month, we're talking about the Fantastic Four. Wonder why? Not important. Let's continue with this episode and our love of Star Wars as Neil faces off against a friend of mine, Mr. Adam Lance Garcia. And we're back with another edition of Star Wars Trivia with Adam Lance Garcia. He is an author who brought honor to the legacy of Dexter Jettster in The Veteran, a short story in the A Certain Point of View, Return of the Jedi anthology. He dazzles as a Condé Nast video director and is celebrating 10 years of Radio Room, an audio drama production company, which he founded, and an old friend of mine. Hello, Adam.
So good to see you, Dave. And when we say old, we mean 20 plus years.
Very, very old. Yes.
Very, very, very old.
So, Adam, I brought you in to be another challenger to Neil in what is this evolution of Star Wars trivia. That initially I thought I would take all the guest scores and all the Neil scores, and the goal was just try to beat Neil. Right. Since this has been evolving, I've realized I have like sort of a chip on my shoulder as like a trivia master. Maybe I just never ran bar trivia or something. And it became about sort of beating me. So here's
how the tables have turned.
Exactly. Here are two developments that have happened since we last spoke. Number one, the listeners took Joanna's note from last week and discovered that draft or pass was a category I made up as a control category that I got to decide who won. So guess what? One less category as they broke my game. The listeners, very smart. Shout out to Tom who figured that out. So now, since it's just out there that you guys are trying to defeat me, the twist this round is I will tell you what the round is going to be, and you guys get to decide if you would like to compete or for one of the 5 rounds, you guys get to work as a team and both rack up the points.
Okay. All right. So, I dig.
So, and it's like a golden ticket. So you're not going to know what all the rounds are. You could save it and then just do the final round 5 altogether, or you could burn it right here at the start. Round 1 is going to be called I Have a Bad Feeling About This, where you have to name characters that say that line.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Only in the films, though.
Right. Because if you do prose, you might as well be here for like the next 2 years.
That's right. And I've read a lot, but I've not read everything. And I think it'd be unfair to assume you guys had.
I've read most, and I don't remember half.
So, Neil, you're currently down 8 points, 27-35. So I'm going to let you have the choice here. Do you want to team up with Adam for I Have a Bad Feeling About This, or would you like to just go versus?
I feel like we should save the team up for something harder.
I feel like you're saying that, but we're going to find out like this. Yeah.
Famous last words, of course.
Exactly.
But,
I will say
this one feels
this
one
perfect. All right, so Adam, you get to go first. In A New Hope, I Have a Bad Feeling About This is said twice. The first time is by Luke Skywalker approaching the Death Star. The second time it is said deep inside the Death Star by this character.
Han Solo.
That is correct, Adam, with Han Solo.
Oh God, if I fuck that up, I don't know how I could ever show my face again.
It's sort of like, even while writing these, I was like, the original series ones I got, but then it gets a little bit more off. Well, let's see if Neil feels the same. Neil, in Empire Strikes Back, I Have a Bad Feeling About This is said by this character right before Minox appear.
Right before Minox appear?
Yeah, who's on the asteroid with the Minox?
Is it Princess Leia?
It is Princess Leia.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I knew you wouldn't give us 2 Han Solos in a row.
I mean, I'm going, if you could sort of tell, so far in film order, so I have no control over that. In Return of the Jedi, Adam, 2 characters say they have a bad feeling. One on Tatooine and one on Andor. You can name either character.
On Tatooine and Andor. I think, oh God, I think Luke's on Andor. Yeah, and oh God. Who says it on Tatooine?
You got to guess good, because Luke does not say it on Andor.
Oh, fuck. All right. Who says it on Andor? It's not in the Shuttle Tidarian that they say it, right?
That is correct. I'm glad I didn't have shuttle names, because you pulled that out really quick.
Yeah. Oh, God. Fuck. Okay, then it has to be Han Solo and Andor. Then it's probably, I want to say 3PO on. No, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know.
No. It's 3PO. I'm going to give it to you. You said it out loud.
Hey, I said it out loud. It counts.
This is 3PO entering Jabba's palace. He says,
right.
R2, I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah.
Neil, in Star Wars The Phantom Menace, this character has a bad feeling, and it's actually the first line the Padawan has in the movie. Who says it?
Oh, that's...
I mean, you put Padawan in there, and it can only be Obi-Wan Kenobi, right?
All right. See, who knows how easy or hard these things are.
Across the
that
plate
is a
there.
softball.
Maybe we're starting off easy. Maybe we're not starting off difficult.
We'll find out.
All right, Adam, you might guess who has a bad feeling in Attack of the Clones while in an arena on Geonosis.
That's Anakin Skywalker.
That is Anakin Skywalker.
Again, one of those where I feel like if I got that wrong, I would be ejected from. I feel like I would get an email from Lucasfilm being like, "No, I'm sorry, you can't.
You guys
not anymore.
We're cutting all ties
on me. No one's gotten one wrong yet." Neil, this character has a bad feeling early on in Revenge of the Sith while piloting a starfighter into the hangar of the Invisible Hand.
Revenge of the Sith. Piloting a starfighter. Is it also Anakin Skywalker?
Ooh, very close. It is the other person, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh.
But
it's tough because like you hear it as both. It's like it's kind of like a
It was one of the two previous answers as well, so a little tricky.
Also true. Adam, you get a special one. Star Wars The Last Jedi has the non-English I have
BB-8.
a bad feeling about. BB-8. Happy beeps here, buddy.
Happy beeps.
And then Neil, finally. This character has a bad feeling in Rise of Skywalker when the First Order lands on Pisana, where I guess they lived from 28 to 34 ABY. As far as I know, I realize that's canon that hasn't been like fully explored.
I mean, the people who have a bad feeling are the audience in The Rise of Skywalker.
Very true.
We're talking character here. Is it Poe Dameron?
It is not. This is Lando Calrissian's having a bad feeling about it.
because he was on Pisana for some indefinite amount of time.
Because his daughter was missing.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but not on Passat. Anyway, we'll maybe get back to it. All right, so now we are going to move on to round 2. This is called Dominant Biome Planets. So I'm going to tell you a planet, a little fact about it that includes sort of its biome. You know, is it muddy? Is it a swamp? Famously, I'm guessing we're going to have some desert planets. That just seems like with the odds.
Sure.
There's a desert planet in Star Wars?
There's a couple. This has 10 questions. Neil, is now the time to team up, or are you going to keep going on? You are down.
How many rounds are there total again?
5 total rounds.
5, right. Okay. I think we continue to hold it.
Okay.
All right.
I feel very confident in my planet knowledge.
Very, very good. All right. So, Adam, this ocean planet is home to the Mon Calamari.
Mon Cala.
That is Mon Cala. Love to see it. Neil, this ocean planet was famous for producing the clone army of the Republic.
Oh, no. I regret my decision immediately.
Because I know his answer.
Oh, no, it's the rainy one, too.
Yeah.
Oh, no. What was the name? Oh, no. My mind. It's working.
Can I answer this when he gives up?
Yeah.
Neil, have you given up?
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Camino. It's where the saber darts from. Camino saber dart. I think I'm not going to know that.
You got the Dexter right in there where we needed you. All right, Adam. This one, here's an over the plate for you.
Okay.
This planet has a scary cave and is mostly swamp.
Dagobah.
That is Dagobah.
Another one that I feel like there's so many ones that you're throwing at me. I'm just like, I'm gonna get an email from like I'm gonna have like a YouTube like channel just dedicated to like he doesn't even know Star Wars.
He's getting it all wrong. Neil, this planet is where spice is primarily mined.
Spice.
It's not Arrakis.
I know. I was going to say it's Arrakis. Spice.
We had a conversation about it last week because it has a gasoline-like fuel that's on it.
It's not Ghorman, is it?
It is Kessel.
Oh, it's Kessel.
Yeah,
Damn
yeah.
it.
Adam, this one
Has
poorly.
calcite.
Calcite, that's right.
Calcite.
That pure uncut calcite.
Which we're going to be saying a lot in the part of the episode after this trivia, but not yet. All right, this is another muddy planet for you, Adam. This muddy planet is where Han Solo met Chewbacca.
Mimban.
Yeah, there we go. That I thought would be harder.
Also, was first introduced in Splinters of the Mind's Eye, the not sequel book by Alan Dean Foster, which is really weird.
All right, making a note, don't give Adam this mind's eye question later on. Good to know. Okay. Neil, here's what I'm going to try to help you out with. This also came up last week. This is the planet where young Jedi used to get their first Kyber crystal until the events of the sequel trilogy.
Jeddah.
No, this is Ilium again.
Yeah. It's Ilum, or now Starkiller Base before it was destroyed.
Yes, absolutely.
I feel so smart. I don't know about anything I did in high school, but I know all this.
All right, Adam. This planet with lush forests and grasslands isn't seen in any of the movies, but is referenced by Leia in A New Hope. It's the lie about where the rebel base is. There we go. Again, I feel like I could have made these harder for Adam.
Look, you can't see because it's out of focus, but there's like an entire bookshelf of Star Wars books. There's another bookshelf of Star Wars books all around me. This. Again, I know that it's coming that I'm gonna get something wrong. That's like an over the plate thing that's gonna be so embarrassing. So
but not yet.
Not yet.
Or you're the first guest to get them all right.
Also a possibility. Neil, Maz Kanata's castle is on this jungle planet.
Oh, God. This is one I should know. Because, like, there's a significant portion of Last Jedi that takes place on this planet. Why can't I remember it, though?
It's a good question. I think it's because you haven't played enough Battlefront 2 where you're just constantly getting killed trying to get into the castle.
I honestly don't remember what Maz Kanata's castle planet is called, and I should. I'm a failure.
Takodana.
That is Takodana.
Oh, God, and it's the taco one. Really?
All right, final biome planet round. Adam, this not Tatooine desert planet is known for their colorful festivals, Ochi's downship, and has already been mentioned on this podcast. There we go.
Yeah. I want to be clear. I did not get these questions beforehand. I went into this terrified.
Neil, I'm really trying to be nice to you here. This not Tatooine desert moon ended up being the final resting place of Saw Gerrera.
That actually is Jeddah.
That actually is Jeddah.
That actually is Jeddah, yeah.
We did it.
I will run no longer.
All right, round 3. This is canon or not canon animation. I'm going to describe to you a story that happened on an animated Star Wars show. You need to tell me if it is currently canonically something that happened in Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is the one where we probably need to work together.
I think this is the one we team up on. This one feels cruel.
Team up time. Let's go through the 10 questions.
This is
of canon
I'm even
or not
worse at this
canon
than I am
animation.
at planets.
Mm.
All right, guys. Cad Bane steals a holocron.
That's canon. I think that's Clone Wars when he starts stealing kids, right?
That is Clone Wars, and it is canon.
I know about Cad Bane.
You know about Cad Bane. And we got to see him in live action, which is honestly something I never thought was going to happen. So, I do appreciate our Disney Plus streaming series. All right, guys. Law Gray the Ewok has developed invisibility soap to hide special trees.
Oh, that's not canon. Unless, are you, okay, wait. Before I stop talking, are we talking because Ewoks is non-canon. Ewoks, it falls under Legends, the animated series. So even if it is something that happened by the rules of the game, it would probably be non-canon.
Right.
I like the way you talk through that, and that is correct for both of you. I will say this. I am a believer of the sort of Pablo Hidalgo theory that we're hearing versions of these tales. Oh, so, yeah. Logray could have made invisibility soap. I just don't feel like the Ewoks have invisibility soap. I think we would have heard about that.
Sure. Yeah. My headcanon is that all the Legends novels are the stories that Ray grew up on. So
that's fantastic. Yep. So we're still going for things that actually happened. The Guavian Death Gang kidnaps Marcus Speedstar's mechanic Oplok.
That would be Resistance, right? Because Guavian Death Gang is sequel era.
That is Resistance. Neil, you're getting so many points.
I know.
You're welcome.
Just riding the wave.
All right, guys. A kaiju called a Zillo Beast attacks Chancellor Palpatine.
Clone Wars. That's a cross of plate, dude. That one's a softball.
Lop and Ocho live on the planet Tau and try to escape Imperial rule.
That sounds like a Droids episode. Wait, is it Lap and Tau?
Lap and Ocho are the characters. Lop and Ocho are the characters, and the planet's name is Tau.
That sounds so Droids. Lap and that because there's only one. Yeah, because it's like because like all the canon shows that we have so far, there's Rebels, and so much of that was based on Lothal, and Bad Batch, which
we have had newer non-canon animated shows.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I mean, it would be Bad Batch if anything, if it's canon. But like,
Where do you guys want to fall? Canon, not canon? Lop and Ocho? Am I going to get a Black Series of one of these folks? I guess that doesn't say if it's canon.
really
or
does
not.
not.
That doesn't help at all.
Because it would be the Empire. I mean, because the only animated show that takes place during the Empire era is Bad Batch.
In theory.
No, that's in Rebels. Excuse me, of course, Rebels. Duh. Bad Batch and Rebels. So I'm gonna say, this one feels tough. This is a good one because this feels, the names are so 70s. I'm gonna say canon.
I agree. If it's Bad Batch, it's canon.
This is
or Clone Wars.
a non-canon story from Star Wars Visions, the
Visions.
anime,
Gotcha.
animated series.
Very tricky.
Yeah,
But they're like bunny people. It's great. It's a great one.
Oh yeah, some of the like the Star Wars Visions, the one with like there's the one with the Sith Witch is amazing.
Yes.
Some of that's just really great. Yeah.
All right. Finally, one that I stumped you guys on by one of the most underwatched animated projects. But check out Star Wars Visions. It's streaming. All right, here we go. The Monolist 10, a group of 10 Advanced Recon Commando clone troopers, ARC troopers, secure members of the Intergalactic Banking Clan.
That'd be Clone Wars.
Which would be
canon. But
Neil?
unless you're gonna play with us and you're gonna do the non-canon Clone Wars by Drutowski, or I'm mispronouncing his name, just to mess with us, like that like a big curveball. That would be a good one. Damn,
Tartakovsky.
Tartakovsky, thank you.
Yeah.
Because ARC troopers.
I don't remember that. That's the one I've seen, but I don't remember if that's specifically. But that is the era.
It's
Banking,
Clone Wars.
Trade negotiations.
Yeah.
And it's tough because stuff that was in the 2003 Clone Wars is also in the other Clone Wars. The question is, how much do you guys know about the Intergalactic Banking Clan?
Yeah, because those are those are Moons, or I just can't remember. I'm gonna say canon Clone Wars. I'm probably wrong, but it's fine.
This is the 2003 non-canon Clone Wars.
I thought I should have gone my instinct. Hey, in my defense.
In your defense, lots of points. I mean, I don't think you need to argue in your defense.
I was on to you. I just should have. Yeah,
you were. So let's keep that up. Oh no, Count Dooku kidnapped Rhoda the Hutt.
Oh, that's canon. That's a Clone Wars movie.
That is the Clone Wars
which
movie.
I saw in theaters.
Me too.
Yeah.
I tried to get a whole bunch of New York Jedi to come to the Clone Wars premiere because yeah, they were a whole bunch of people who were like practicing, like basically show fighting. It was really cool. Back in the day. All right, C-3PO and R2-D2 encounter the Great Heap, a droid who builds itself
the droids.
with parts
that's not canon.
Very, very easy. There we go. All right, we'll try this. General Grievous kills Shaggy, a Jedi modeled after Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
That's non-canon Clone Wars.
It is not canon Clone Wars. All right, here we go. Final one. Inquisitors can fly by spinning their lightsabers like a helicopter
Rebels
blade.
Canon. I love that you kind of like, there's like ones that are like, you're clearly like fucking with us, and then there are ones that are like, that's easy, just to throw us off. I love it.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Honestly,
right.
this my favorite round of the entire trivia experiment so far.
You got a lot of points.
So
Neil,
many points for me.
We're now
You're welcome, Neil.
11 to 17.
We were
since
best
all those
friends,
points.
now we're enemies again.
Yeah, I
now
guess
you're
so.
now it's 2 more rounds where you guys have to fight each other, which is good. Because round 4 is betrayal. These are people who switched sides.
Okay.
Neil, this Jedi once trained Master Yoda, but then broke bad. Trained with Master Yoda.
Trained with
Oh.
Master Yoda, but then broke bad. Who trained with Master Yoda and then broke bad? I mean, I don't think Anakin counts.
I mean, trained with Master Yoda, they had a very close relationship because I guess you could say technically everybody trains with Master Yoda if he leads like youngling. I'm not trying to trick you. This person definitely knows Yoda very, very well.
Is it Count Dooku?
It is Count Dooku.
All right. When he was a kid back in the day.
Yeah.
Adam. Yes. This former Jedi general of the Grand Army of the Republic survived the Purge to later team up with Morgan Elsbeth.
Jedi. That's you're okay. So there'll be that in Ahsoka. That's like more. I think his name is Morok. He's the first brother, the one that.
Oh
no! I didn't finish talking. It is it's Baylan Skull.
Baylan Skull.
See, but the thing is, like, he's like somewhere in between.
Sure.
You know,
the closest I would have gotten on that one would have been Ray Stevenson.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna give it to you for Ray Stevenson. That's tough. It's less tough when they're all live action.
Yeah.
This one a little bit of mixed media. So Neil, you're gonna have to get the character name.
Okay.
This character started as an apprentice of Count Dooku, but is definitely good now as of the Bad Batch and Star Wars: Tales of the Underworld.
Oh,
I know this one.
Started under Count Dooku.
Though I would actually say that's not where
you could clarify as much as you want. No, we're not where they broke good. Yeah, because there's another person. I was trying to write around another person who switched sides on this question.
No, yeah.
Nope, I got nothing.
Adam?
Asajj Ventress.
That is Asajj Ventress.
Okay.
And she technically turned good in Dark Disciple, which was a canceled Clone Wars series of episodes that was novelized. I think it's by Christy Golden. It was originally written by Lucas's daughter. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, and it comes back unexpectedly because if you read Dark Disciple, was not expecting her to come back, but thrilled that she's here. Apparently was also at one point going to be part of Star Wars Resistance, but they just never got there.
I didn't know that.
All right, I'll try to stump Adam with this one. Okay. Galen Merrick was the name of Darth Vader's non-canonical secret apprentice in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, or Star Wars: The Force Unleashed games.
The Force Unleashed, yeah.
And he does turn against his master in some of the game's endings. Yes. What's the code name Galen is better known as?
Starkiller.
That is Starkiller. All right, Neil.
You thought you could stump me, but
this one's especially for Neil because I was told previously that Neil. I told you this person was a Jedi, but I didn't bring up the whole story, which is this. Neil, this Jedi framed Ahsoka Tano by bombing the Jedi Temple and became an Inquisitor for a period of time.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
This Jedi
picture their face.
Framed Ahsoka, became an Inquisitor. This is one this is probably a character who's shown up on Ahsoka already, aren't they?
I'm not gonna help.
I know that's fair. I respect it. And why? I don't know.
Adam, do you have a guess?
I know who it is. I just can't. The name's failing me, so I will let you answer this one.
It's Barriss Offee.
That's it. Yeah, Barriss Offee.
Never would have got that, Barriss Offee. Yeah. Get out of here. Well,
some listeners were mad that I gave you a point, even though that she wasn't technically always a Jedi and Jedi Drafter Pass. But as I've established, Drafter Pass was a sham category I was trying to use to control the game, and it's not here anymore. All right, Adam.
Yes.
This still non-canonical Old Republic Jedi, which really bums me out, defeated Mandalore the Ultimate at the Battle of Malachor 5 before venturing into the unknown regions and returning with the Darth title and the Sith Empire fleet.
Oh, shit. Oh, man. That's the Old Republic is like kind of a bit of a black hole. I want to say... Oh God, it's not Darth Tyrannus because that's someone else. I want to say Exar Kun, but I don't think that's correct.
This is Revan.
Oh, Darth Revan, right.
Good old classic.
Yeah, because I'm used to reference like post story, like the one that we play in the game. I always forget like the
There's stuff all before it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I could say some stuff in the betrayal category about how the games throw out, but I'm still trying to get Neil to play them, so I don't want to spoil anything about
like that first game is pretty great.
Neil, this character's last minute flip flop over Andor might have brought balance to the Force.
Oh my God.
I know.
This is Darth Vader.
Yeah, or Anakin Skywalker. I would have accepted either. All right, here we go. Adam, final question for this round. This Jedi, who has yet to be seen on screen in live action, got booted from the Jedi Order because his foresight told him the Galactic Republic needed a grand army.
Oh, Sifo Dyas.
That is Sifo Dyas.
Yeah.
Anytime I can bring up Sifo Dyas, I can. What a fantastic franchise thing just to be like, here's a very important character we're never going to deal with.
Never gonna. I think he shows up a little bit in like Count Dooku, Jedi Lost by Kevin Scott, and like we see some stuff here and there with him, but we've never seen him in live action.
All right, final round. This is behind the scenes. You're each going to get 4 questions. These are about behind the scenes factoids about the Star Wars universe. Some almost was, and then some just facts about how movies are made. So we will start this off with Neil. Neil, this character was almost named Kira before the Solo A Star Wars Story character was created.
Is this Rey?
That is Rey, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, all
It was
right.
spelled Kira, if I'm not mistaken.
This
Here in
could
my
be my
document,
category.
it is perfectly spelled. But yes, I still remember posting to the website like the Kira's motorbike plaque that was at, I think, San Diego Comic-Con, and we were all like, oh my God, it's Kira. But it wasn't. Who knew? All right, Adam.
Yes.
George Lucas's original sequel trilogy pitch would have featured Darth Talon, a female Twilight character created for the Star Wars Legacy comic book series, as a partner to this legacy villain.
Darth Maul.
That is Darth Maul.
Yep.
It's
I love behind the scenes stuff. The behind the scenes stuff gets me that like it's so much fun. But yeah.
All right, here we go. Neil, I hope enough podcast has passed so you could forget that Adam mentioned the answer. Splinter of the Mind's Eye, the first original Star Wars novel, was written as a sequel to which Star Wars movie when the idea was abandoned in pre-production?
To which Star Wars
Sequel
movie?
to which Star Wars movie?
Yep.
Was it the 2003 Clone Wars movie?
It was not.
Oh no.
This is Splinter of the Mind's Eye was supposed to be Star Wars 2, sequel to A New Hope.
I guess I should have started with
Harrison Ford back.
Star Wars 1.
Star Wars 1. Just the Star Wars. Adam, how many people were inside Jabba the Hutt to puppeteer him for Return of the Jedi?
Oh, good. Man, because that's like from Star Wars to Jedi shit, man. I love that. So there was a guy who did like the arm. There's a guy like who did this, who smoked the cigar, who got the best job ever. There's the guy who did the tail. I want to say 3. I'm going to say 3.
3 is correct.
Yes.
3 little Jabbas. Yeah. There was the one arm mouth guy. There was the smoking other arm guy. And there was the tail guy. And together they made Jabba work. This is a good one for Neil. Neil, which Star Wars movie featured the actress Bai Ling until her scenes were cut?
Ooh. Which one was Bai Ling going to be in? Was it Return of the Jedi? Or no, not Return of the Jedi. Revenge of the Sith.
It was Revenge of the Sith.
It's the third one of the
along
prequel
with
trilogy.
Genevieve O'Reilly was cut as like a bunch of people played senators in scenes that George Lucas is like, we don't need it anymore.
What a miracle Genevieve O'Reilly turned out to be, though, right?
I know.
Right?
What a miracle. Bai Ling's also like, I also did like a Playboy spread in 2005. So maybe they're just like anti-nudity. And I'm like, you're telling me the Darth Talon people are going to be mad at you for posing in Playboy? I don't think so.
Also, Bai Ling's still around. They can still get Bai Ling.
They can still get Bai Ling. She can still be a senator. All right, Adam, what is the name of Luke's friend on Tatooine who had all his scenes cut, even though he appears on Yavin 4 and is all buddy-buddy like we knew him previously?
Oh, you mean Biggs?
That is
Biggs.
Biggs.
Yeah,
Biggs
I think I
Darkrider.
go deeper and like
That's
with
why
Tashi Station, and
the other 2 on Tassi Station. No, just
who appeared
the
in
one who's also in
Bookie.
Yavin 4.
Yeah, and like who's like in Book of Boba Fett with his
He stayed at Tashi Station. That's just where you work after you don't get off the planet.
That's Biggs.
Exactly.
I can't wait to talk about our friendship when we get back. Darklighter.
Yeah, exactly. Neil, which Star Wars movie has a cut scene of Luke assembling a lightsaber?
A cut scene of Luke assembling a lightsaber. Is that Return of the Jedi?
That is Return of the Jedi.
Yeah,
Coming
that's
right
the one where he
around.
shows up with a new lightsaber.
All right, final question of the round, or of this entire week. Adam, this movie was called Jar Jar's Great Adventure internally to hide its real title.
Oh, it was Attack of the Clones.
It was Attack of the Clones. Because everybody loved Jar Jar.
Everyone loved Jar Jar. Everyone loved Jar Jar.
They did.
Everyone was like, of
talking
course.
About Jar Jar.
Can't wait to see what his great
Talking about
adventure is.
Jar Jar.
All right. So the final score this week is 16 for Neil to 23 to Adam. So Adam, you have successfully won. But also Neil, bunch of points for the cumulative thing with the group.
Honestly, closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Adam's very good at this.
Thank you.
Incredibly good at this.
It's almost like I write Star Wars.
Yeah, he knows a lot more about Star Wars than I do. It's clear.
It's a true story. When we got our house, my fiance, we went to go to my parents' house, and I started pulling out all my books out of these cabinets, and she's like, "Oh, you got one there, and why you have all these extra boxes?" And I open another cabinet, another cabinet, and she's like, "Do you need all of these?" And I'm like, "Yes." And now she's like, "And these are his research." So
he needs these.
He needs these. It's really exciting. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's really, really fun when you're just like, I need a planet, and I'm just getting up and taking out a books that I've had since I was 16. I'm like, I need to find a title, a planet for this. It's really cool.
As we've been talking about Andor, and I've been doing other things happening around the galaxy in like that year in BBY.
Yeah.
And just being able to like pull out a whole bunch of books, like timelines and other reference books, and be like, hey, here's what happened. So much fun. Thank you so much for having Star Wars fun with us. Where could people find more of you, should they want to?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, under Adam Lance Garcia. That's because that's my name and that's what I do. You can listen to my audio drama, as Dave mentioned, that was produced by Radio Room, The Green Llama with one L on any of your favorite podcast apps. You can read my next Star Wars story in Star Wars Insider issue number 233. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say about it, so I can say that it is very dark and it's gonna be not what you expect.
Cool.
And there are other things I'm working on, and you can read my Dexter Jester story in Return of Jedi from a Certain Point of View that was published in 2023, my first Star Wars, and it was a dream come true.
Adam, thank you so much for joining us. Oh yeah.
Oh, and you can watch the videos I make for Vanity Fair on YouTube. I did a Pedro Pascal video. He's very nice.
And we're back in it. Neil, I think that went pretty well.
Honestly, I think I performed better than expected against someone with a towering level of Star Wars knowledge.
Yeah, I think I might have gone to expert mode a week too early, but also, like I mentioned at the beginning of the Adam segment, trivia sort of shaking apart. So what are you expecting from next week in Star Wars trivia?
I mean, listen, I've come to expect the unexpected, so I'm open to whatever the universe brings us, whatever the galaxy decides is in order. I'm just hoping to perform slightly better than I have in the last couple of weeks.
I mean, each week you have earned slightly more points. So in that sense, it's working. You just haven't quite caught the guests yet.
It's a bit of a dream to say that I'm going to win one of these, but we'll see.
I think you're within striking distance. This week on the main part of the podcast, we're going to be talking about the 3 episodes of Andor Season 2 Messenger, Who Are You, and Welcome to the Rebellion. These were all written by Yanis Metz, and all directed by Dan Gilroy. And Neil, I'm gonna let you take over from the notes here, but I do want to ask you, as somebody who is into visuals in movie and television, is it just me, or do these 3 episodes look a little bit better than the other stuff at Andor Season 2?
I mean, especially against the stuff that we've seen so far. Then again, I mean, the cornfields were really nice looking cornfields.
Cornfields were really nice cornfields.
But yeah, I mean, there are some really leveled up visual, so I would say more ambitious visuals in these episodes. There's some more ambitious choreography, right? We get like an awesome hand-to-hand fight, that's going on while there's a massacre happening in the background. We get some incredible location stuff, right? The exteriors of the Senate, I think, are really cool. And we're this like practical location, this it's called the CAC in Spain, what was it called? What's the actual? It's in Valencia, Spain. It is the Valencia Cultural Center. It was also featured in Westworld. I knew it looked a little
I believe
familiar.
it.
So I do think that there's an escalation in how good the show looks, and the action is escalating as well. So yeah, these are 3 very, very good looking episodes. And I think that, story wise, obviously we still have 3 episodes to go, but we've reached what I feel like is our climax, right? The Ghorman massacre, right? We've been working toward something big happening on Ghorman all season.
Well, I also think a climax for like a couple of characters, because we didn't know this, and I guess we only have to restrict our conversation to the storm. But like, we know we're leading to Rogue One, but we don't know, like, people could disappear in between years, since each one of these gaps sort of takes like a jump. We could like fall off, and that could just be the end of somebody's story. So at least there's a clarity now in rewatching it, in sort of like these movements to characters to have their climax, that at the time just felt like big event after big event. And like after these 3 episodes, I'm like, I don't even know what the next 3 are going to be. I don't even know what I want them to be. Mm-hmm. Maybe something with the droid, but like that's all I know. So it is pretty great, I think, to see this all come together. I think I'm impressed by both the character movements for Cyril and Mon Mothma, I think, especially in terms of like Cyril definitely arcing out of this arc of television by definitely dying on camera, but in a very memorable way. And after learning about the truth about his actions like a little too late, I thought I would feel more like the show was mean about it, but I don't. I really like that arc. I'm a little sad for him that, his greatest enemy is somebody that will never know his name. But he did get the chance to fight his greatest enemy before things were said and done.
Sure.
So it's sort of like a microcosm of people getting close to their wish, and then it's sort of blowing up in their face. On the Imperial side, which I think it's very satisfying.
And I think he went out with at least the knowledge of who was the architects of his demise, right?
Yes.
Like he at least knew that Dedra, had at least been lying to him. I don't know. I feel like there's a certain amount of understanding that I have for her position in all this, which is like, she kind of couldn't tell him. That's part of the job. It sucks in the end for him. But, that's...
And it wasn't like hard for her until things started going down, is sort of the feeling I got. And even then, I think she was ultimately more concerned about Cyril being down there than she was about the Ghorman people being down there, because she's had time to disassociate.
Yeah. And I kind of fixated on this moment when they're having this argument. Obviously, it's this like really tense physical scene that they're having when he's confronting her about this. And I'm just like sitting there thinking like, this all would have been easy if he just would have listened to her and went back to his house and started backing. Right. And I kind of don't understand what his like, all right. So I guess I understand that he like, in having so much contact with the Ghorman people, he obviously has connected with them and found empathy for them and does not want to see them genocided. which is,
Yes.
I think, the correct human response to this. That
I think he
said,
thought they were. I think he thought they were going to like arrest them or something.
sure,
Or, like,
he was very naive, especially given that, you know, he was obviously setting up a false flag operation for the evilest empire in the history of empires. But I mean, that said, I don't know. There's that moment where she tells him, go home, start packing. We're about to leave here and go start a new life. Like, you've already come this far. And trusting Dedra has gotten you so far in this. Like, this is maybe not the moment to have the I don't want to be the bad guy anymore moment. Like,
I mean,
that's what gets you killed, is being like, I don't want to be the bad guy anymore, when you've been the bad guy for a long time, dude. So,
I think it's, you know, it's such an interesting
irony,
perspective to have over both seasons. I think the Cyril perspective, which is just, there should be order out of chaos, and just following that one line just all the way deep into fascism.
Sure.
And just being like, oops, my order is now killing everybody because they live on top of a mineral, a calcite.
Yeah, and his singular focus on trying to create order allowed him to be in this place where he's blinded to the larger context, which is, I'm working for the entity that's going to murder all these people, not just like, you know, give them a slap on the wrist and make them live in a police state, you know, like, these people, the Ghorman, are getting genocided. So, the Cyril, I would say, a satisfying arc, though, over the course of the series, and a really well-acted character. Like, I am sad to see Cyril go because he's an interesting character, not because, like, I was rooting for him or anything. And I thought I love the fight between him and Cassian. I think it's one of the cooler, just... especially because we know that that's a set they built. So it's a really well choreographed, actually having stunt people slam each other around this very real set moment. And I think it worked out really well. It's one of the better scenes in this entire block of episodes, I think.
Yeah.
And then
I love that part.
the disrespect of him saying, "Who are you?" right before he gets shot.
The use of that part of the set specifically, we got some great shots. I think of like Vel and Cinta through those like very specifically designed windows on the sides of the cafe. And then we've seen Cassian meet with various revolutionaries there. But now it's like where the unexpected thing comes from. So they're fighting each other, and then there's a grenade that they see through the window, and then everybody's in like disarray. And then at the end, it's where our Ghorman leader ends up blindsiding Cyril to the back of the head. But just like, what a good design. And I assume while they were designing the Ghorman Square, they knew sort of what sort of action they wanted to do with these various troops and KX droids and fires and whatnot. All again, really well planned. I know we got sort of like talked wonderfully about the Ghorman set before, but couldn't really talk about it exploding under this calm and storm format. So now that it was built to be destroyed, I think in this really horrific way is pretty great. And also with like an understanding of levels that this one sort of brings out with everybody, Dedra just constantly looking over her sort of square of terror and Cassian trying to take a shot at her.
Mm-hmm.
It brings it up vertical a little bit more with the hotel, which we also return to. Just like what a great use of a set to tell a story with all these Ghorman characters. Neil, apparently we got a Raven.
Yeah. Speaking of Vel and Cinta, little diversion here. We got a Raven from Nathaniel, who wanted to, I guess, lightly and very gently challenge our application of the kill your gaze trope last week to this show. I feel like we were quick to just be like, yeah, you know, pretty par for the course for Disney Star Wars. But here's what Nathaniel had to say. For me, I think the kill your gaze trope is misapplied to this show. This is a show about rebellion and sacrifice, and most of the main characters die. Redacted dies. Marva died. Brasso died. We already know that Cassian redacted Rogue One. Spoiler. In this context, it seems to me you can either include gay characters knowing some will die, or you don't include them. Is that alternative better? Are we better off without the gay relationship portrayal? I don't think so. So I understand being vigilant about it, but I don't think it really works as a criticism in a show that's inherently about sacrificing your life and personal relationships for the rebellion. I would say excellent point here from Nathaniel. Also, I think the other thing that maybe works in this show's favor is that at the very least, Vel, and I guess Cinta, up until the point where she gets killed here, they feel like they have fairly complete character arcs. Like they're not throwaway characters in this story, right? They're two very important parts of the revolution, of the rebellion that we have spent actual time with getting to know. And like, they're not just there to be gay characters who are killed off on screen. So I think it's not quite as bad. And I think Nathaniel makes a good point in that this is a show about a bunch of people who are probably going to die either way. So, and that includes some gays.
I would also say that like this is a debate you wouldn't even have if there was more than one gay couple.
That's true. Yeah, and that part is on sort of the machine, the Disney Lucasfilm machine, and the fact that Star Wars kind of gets clowned for how it treats its gay characters across many of its things, not just this show.
Well, it seems like Disney has forced Pixar to pull back on some of ththose narratives too. We're hearing some new things about Elio that was apparently had a whole same-sex plot line sort of cut out of it, and maybe that's why America Ferrera left. So this is definitely a conversation to have with Disney. But Nathaniel, I hope that, first of all, thank you for writing in. Absolutely what Star Wars Spoilers at gmail.com for. And my understanding is when I posed the question for you, Neil, I literally posed this question. I'm like, do we think it's kill your gays or do we think it's war? So I do think it's within that. And there are much more bad faith examples of kill your gays. I was just wondering if we could apply it.
Yeah. And I think as is the case with many things, this show is above par for relative to other Star Wars content, you know?
Yes.
They're doing it better on Andor than you're getting from most of the other Star Wars shows and movies.
Absolutely. All right, let's do some If You Like This, Try. This is an interesting episode because, as you said, it's an episode or a trilogy of episodes sort of full of climaxes. I believe like sort of the Cassian being destined for something really plays at the beginning episode Messenger. And also then we have a sort of riot that turns into a massacre that turns into a genocide. And then, of course, we have Mon Mothma effectively kickstarting the public rebellion with their exit from the Senate. So with that sort of range of topics, what would you recommend to people for If You Like This, Then Try this week?
Sure. Well, and listen, this was kind of a tough one because of the sort of wide range. Like, do you do something that's about protests and protests that go wrong? Or do you maybe do something that's a little bit more about spycraft? So this is where I am going to use this as an excuse to do something about sexy-looking spycraft and political maneuvering, and recommend a 2016 film from a director. I think we talked about Kim Ji-woon potentially on our mailbag episode on the Patreon because we're talking about potentially mean-spirited movies or movies that have a cold indifference toward the human condition. Kim Ji-woon makes some pretty hardcore movies. This one, it's called The Age of Shadows. It's from 2016. I saw this at Fantastic Fest first when it premiered there. And it's a really good action movie, but it is also just this really dense but also propulsive political thriller that is just like drips with tension and it's got all kind. I mean, we mentioned up top that this is like the best looking block, at least so far, of these Andor episodes. This movie kind of fits with that theme. It's just people having tense conversations about double crossing each other in very sexy rooms. Stylish as all hell, and it's got some really interesting people. Song Kang-ho from Parasite is in it. Gong Yu, the dude who recruits people in Squid Game, in the guy who does the game and gets you recruited. He's in it, and they're both great, and they're like the two lead characters. So The Age of Shadows. Where is it streaming? I think it's streaming somewhere. Let me find out for you here.
That's a good question that I could also look up.
But stylish political thriller. This one, it fits really well with sort of what Cassian's got going on in this block of episodes.
Yeah, definitely.
Out there doing it's not streaming. Anyway, it's on like VOD, I think. If you can find it, you should watch it.
Mine is definitely something that you could buy or rent, but also appears to be on the Internet Archive and maybe not a completely legal version. But
yours is probably not hard to find at all.
No, it is 1976's Network. I'm sure if you are aware of movies, you've maybe heard of this, but you know what? Maybe you haven't. And this is the story of a broadcaster named Howard Beale who gets fed up with the news and just decides to tell it like it is. It starts with a rant sort of about how all of the life and news is bullshit. And then eventually, as the network is like, well, we're going to fire this man, they realize that his outrage is gating viewers. So they decide to lean into it and basically let this newsman just begin a series of angry rants, and he begins to sort of deliver populist messages. This is where you get the quote, "We're mad as hell and we're not going to take this anymore." He gets everybody to sort of like yell that out its window and at the end of every program. But as it happens, we stay with Faye Dunaway and William Holden, who are sort of like the network heads behind this guy's rise to power. And we see them sort of like capture this sort of like reality screed, but from the other side when they start a docudrama hour, they call it, because this is the 70s. We don't have reality TV yet, but we're on our way. Called the Mao Zedong Hour, where they have a fake liberation army basically provide footage for it. And when Beale decides to take his rants against like a company merger that the network needs to survive, they end up turning the two programs against each other. And I will say that this movie ends in the way that these 3 episodes of Andor ends, where you're just like, man, that was not the way that I hoped things were going to turn out, but kind of how I felt like they had to turn out when like these big power struggles happen and like these big zeitgeist shifts have to happen. So I will say that Network is a depressing movie, I think, overall. But unlike, I think, these episodes of Andor, it doesn't have a whole Star Wars adventure series after it. So it does the next best thing, and it ends with a punchline that I'm not going to spoil, but is a fantastic punchline, just to like in a movie that has not had any or a lot of voiceover, to just end with a voiceover punchline and make people laugh as they're leaving the theater feeling bad. Network, it's great, but I think it's a lot about the arc of this 3 episodes and just who knows what about Ghorman and the difficulty of trying to figure out what a truth is once a popular opinion emerges. Whether that be, I think, the obvious one, which is the Empire sort of building this false flag narrative, or what the rebellion's kind of going through, which is without a lack of a figure like Mon Mothma, the figure Mon Mothma is going to be for the public, there's a disorganization where, you know, all of a sudden there's all these people camping on Yavin 4 who think like Luthen is maybe a little too intense for what needs to happen now with the rebellion. So both both of the sides are working on refining their narratives a little bit. And, maybe if it didn't take a whole Death Star to eventually kickstart this rebellion galaxy wide, we could have saved Alderaan. We don't know.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, maybe if the entire galaxy would have responded to Ghorman the way they eventually responded to the Death Star, would have saved quite a lot of lives.
Absolutely.
So, what are you going to do?
Neil, before this week's series of episodes started, before Messenger started, I thought everybody on Yavin 4 lived in those pyramids.
Sure. And I think that's legit because those pyramids are pretty significant and they're also kind of sick. Why wouldn't you want to live in there?
Yeah, they seem secure.
Yeah, they seem pretty secure. I assume there's like apartments in there. That's super cool. But yeah, I also wanted to talk about this because we get to visit Cassian's house. Cassian and Bix's house on Yavin, which I think is the first Star Wars place. And I'm curious to know what yours would be. But this is like the first place in the Star Wars universe where I've immediately been like, oh, I'd live there.
Oh, yeah.
Like this could be, I would live in this house. And, Cassian and Bix don't have to be there. But if they were there, I'd also live there, too. The two hottest people in the galaxy. Sure, why not? But like it appears to be like the climate appears to be very mild and it's got a lot of open air and it's very spacious and it's super clean and it appears to be conveniently located near Rebellion HQ. So like very short commute to work. I assume at this point I'm involved in Rebellion communications or Rebellion propaganda podcasting of some kind.
Nice.
I'm an agent of the Rebellion. And I was like, this rules. This entire house looks awesome. But I don't feel like that happens a lot in Star Wars because usually it's like a cave or it's like a hut on the side of a mountain that's like isolated from everybody because Luke doesn't want to talk to anyone anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about like very specific, and even like Coruscant. Like there are parts of Coruscant that are great, but like
sure,
it's all the upper parts. There's like thousands of levels below Coruscant.
That sounds like a cramped nightmare. Also, I don't do well with like heights. I would never want to live at the top of a skyscraper, so I assume Coruscant would be a nightmare.
Yeah, I would say this is probably the coziest home in Star Wars that I've seen. There are occasionally some cozy ship areas, but that's a whole different vibe. That's like you're traveling between place to place. That's not like a home.
Right. I would live on the Millennium Falcon, especially knowing that there's a really extensive cape collection in the bedroom.
That's what I was going to say.
But that's,
once I saw
special
Solo
case.
and I'm like, okay, that's actually I could do that.
That's one ship in the entire galaxy.
And I will say the Mandalorian and Grogu's hut on Navarro is also one that I appreciate for just being like kind of chill. It's not quite desert Navarro, but you're close to the town center and the mayor owes you one. That seems like it could be okay, but still not as just cool and comfy looking as this. And I'm a big fan of their sort of like central dome hangout multi-purpose space. I would definitely live there. That's where I'd want to live in Yavin 4. I guess the trade-off is you're still outside. So like, did we corral all the monsters? Because last time I was on Yavin 4, there was monsters in the jungle.
Sure.
But I
assume we set up some sort of perimeter.
Nice. Good. And I guess I should have expected some sort of perimeter, but I still thought we would all just live in the pyramids. But that being said, I'm very glad to see that, the Star Wars franchise has been around since the mid 70s. We're still doing world building on Yavin. Why not?
Sure.
Also, this week's world building, there are just a lot more rooms in the Senate and chambers in the Senate and ports in the Senate, all of which I think are great. Obviously, the real Valencia location is fantastic, but also I appreciate some of the details that I know were like sort of devised by George Lucas during the prequel series, because we talked about this a little bit during the trivia segment, but like there's a Revenge of the Sith cut that's like 4 hours long and involves Genevieve O'Reilly's first appearance as Mon Mothma, and involves Padme sort of maybe starting the rebellion herself before Mon Mothma and Bail Organa were like really involved. And those took place in like Senate backrooms. So it's my arc with the Senate backrooms has really hit like a point here where I think this group of episodes are the best. Because I think when we see them in like Phantom Menace, it is way too floaty. We see them in Attack of the Clones. That's the first digital film that was released to the mass, to the public. So it's just all looks weird to me now.
Sure.
And then Revenge of the Sith, we have the battle with like Yoda and stuff, and we had the Senator Palpatine's chambers and whatnot. And they sort of have gotten better, but the look of the Senate chambers, and I think the look of the prequel series, is so pristine and like early computer environment rendering. And it's great to see that Andor just like built some of those things.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty sure have never existed before, because the prequels were so green screen based. Like when he's checking in at the press office in the final episode, there's like that comptroller board where the dude's checking like security. I'm like, that's a set.
Yeah.
When the ISB is watching all the recordings, that's like a new set, and it all feels very tactile, but also as clean as like the prequels. So
yeah,
another great
like
set.
The security station that he has to go through several times, I thought was cool. It just makes it feel like such a lived-in space that connects. I feel like design-wise connects really well with the exteriors that they're using.
Yes,
and I think sets up some really gorgeous stuff that works really well visually as they're sort of montaging their way up to Mon Mothma's speech, right? Like you get some of these like just single shots of her silhouetted against, gorgeous architecture behind her as she's like practicing her speech in the courtyard and stuff like that. So it's like using this not only just to be like beautiful stuff behind conversations, but I feel like it actually really does amplify the sort of tension as we're leading up to her big speech. And then, by building out that like her little back room, you get to have that great shot of her walking out onto her little platform from behind that I think is, if I had to pick a one perfect shot from these episodes, it would be Mon Mothma walking out to her platform, because, the massacre is very well executed and horrifying and all that, but the speech is something,
Absolutely.
And it's, I would say, something that it seemed like, at least when I was watching behind the scenes, that Genevieve O'Reilly had been really anticipating for a very long time, which is like getting to this moment where Mon Mothma breaks from the Senate and joins the rebellion full time. So it's really cool. Really well done stuff.
Yeah. So I have like 3 little lore things.
Okay.
And it occurs to me these 3 lore things is basically like 1 per episode. So maybe that's a way to sort of get through before we roll into some of these actual awards that talk about all 3 episodes together.
Let's do it.
So episode number 1, Messenger, we get sort of Bix taking Cassie into a force healer. And
yes.
I
was going to ask
like,
about this.
Force healing is something that does not come from the movies necessarily, but is very prominent in the expanded universe.
Didn't Rey do some force healing?
In Rise of Skywalker, she does some force healing against like that snake creature on Kasana.
I knew I remember someone doing it, but Rise of Skywalker is the movie who shall not be named most of the time, so easy to forget.
Yeah. Before that, I believe,
and also Rey's all the Jedi, so like her rules are different.
Exactly. We saw Grogu do it in Mandalorian season 1, and I remember texting Joanna Robinson being like, "They did force healing." because to this, it has been some places like novels and comic books, they use it sort of like it's like a slight magic power that you could like heal with the force. Like maybe you could make your heart a little bit healthier, or maybe you could sustain life a little bit longer, or you could hold your breath a little bit longer. There was sort of like powers that could be sort of stopping some sort of healing.
Like kind of like how it enhances your ability to jump. It just enhances your body's ability to do other things, like heal yourself.
Right, because in narratives, that's the sort of like what they need to explain. I think the most extreme example is, I believe there's a comic book where like Coyote Mundi like heals a broken collarbone just by like forcing it. That's really extreme.
Sure.
But Neil, a lot of this comes about also through a bunch of Star Wars video games, because that's where you get the idea that you could like restore or counteract very significant like energies or injuries is by, you know, the force power. And so you would have like a force healing or some such thing, or I believe for like Sith, maybe like a life siphon, but some sort of force heal that transfers.
Sure.
And that made sense, obviously, as like a video game mechanic, but they didn't really bring it over into main Star Wars. And then if you really want to get into it, you're like, if force healing is a thing, why is Anakin Skywalker still a hunk of a man? And so there are post Disney purchased explorations of Anakin trying to do like the dark side equivalent of force healing, and occasionally being able to exist a little bit outside of his suit and his tube. But that is sort of a retroactive way that they've talked about what he was doing in Empire Strikes Back, where we see him in his like little chamber with his helmet off. Is he's basically practicing trying to like heal his own injuries in lungs. But it's very hard to nail down canonical uses of this, because as you know, you would expect, if there's like a super powerful force healer, wouldn't they be able to like bring somebody back from the dead? Is that the dark side power we're like searching for? Why do only light side users do it? It's a whole thing.
Sure.
But it's mostly a thing about rules. I like it much more in this episode of Andor, where like maybe it works, but it's just more like a, you know, any sort of non-Western medicine healing that we would encounter in our everyday lives.
Sure. Well, and it also seems like there's a certain amount of like aura reading that this force healer is doing, because I was like, is this a force healer or is this a fortune teller? Because she seems to be like portending things about Cassian, which I get narratively, right? Like, because we know where his story ends up. He's obviously very important in the Star Wars universe. Otherwise, the show would not be called Andor. And, you know, it makes sense. But I'm like, this feels like they're right up on the line of like what the Force should be able to do, right? Because I don't know if we've ever seen a character use the Force to predict the future. Is that a thing?
You can,
Okay.
but it's difficult,
To
as Yoda
prophesize, I
says.
guess?
Always in motion the future is. Well, that's the problem with the prequel series, is Anakin keeps seeing Padme die. And so
Yeah, I
he
guess
goes
that's
to
true.
Yoda, and Yoda's like, hey, man, like always in motion the future is. And Anakin's like, no, I must stop her from dying from this thing that I'm seeing, and not even thinking that maybe I cause it by having seen it. But yeah, there is some possibility of seeing things in the future. It's a little bit, my understanding, easier to see things in the past if you're a Yoda-like person.
Sure.
And depending on your idea of the living force versus the cosmic force, in theory, the living force would know everything that's happening right now.
Sure. If it's everywhere and it's connected.
Right. So it's like how Luke could project himself in The Last Jedi, just like there's an awareness if the force is here and there, and you could move energy from here and there. There's an awareness of the web of the force. And so in theory, this woman in like finding the force aura is like, seeing lots of strands leading to Cassian, I guess would be the way to think about it.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if she's seeing a future as much as she's seeing like a connection, right?
Okay.
Because she's like, he's a messenger and he needs to like, he's gathering things for a purpose. But the way that scene sort of ends is like, maybe that purpose is you. And so the Force lady's like, maybe it's you. And Bix is like, oh no, if it's me, then I'm distracting him from the rebellion.
Yeah. Bix obviously has different idea for whether that's a good idea by the end of this trio of episodes, for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I like Messenger a little bit more each time I watch it, is because it is definitely prepping why Bix is going to leave at the end and why I'm going to kind of agree with her, even though my personal Force knowledge of what happens for them all in the future makes me think maybe this isn't the right decision. But I think they lay all the track for it in Messenger, and then sort of let rip with the other episodes.
Sure.
Once we sort of have that all established. Which I guess means let's move on to Who Are You? Which, great. My bit of lore for this is KX battle droids should be illegal because that is what they are. Those things are battle droids.
I did not know this.
Neil, the Imperial Senate, of course, outlawed the creation of more battle droids. They didn't want another Clone Wars going forward. So they have ramped down the clone program to be replaced with actual conscripted troopers. That is what our stormtroopers are now, but they're not clone troopers anymore. See the Bad Batch for more of that sort of winding down process. And they outlawed battle droids, which was okay because a company that manufactures weapons of war for the Empire, as we covered sort of on the TIE Fighter episode, these are all made by companies that then sort of sell products to the Empire. They're like, this droid is not for battle. It is a security droid. It has the capability to go to fancier places. It's like, it's almost a protocol droid. It's not a battle droid. Those things were dumb and blunt instruments and were all about carrying blasters. These things don't even need to carry blasters. They just need to walk along. You could have a conversation with it. And then they sort of slipped into the programming. Also do whatever the Empire says.
Also be very strong and be able to throw humans 30 feet in the air. And kill them.
So this is my little in-universe political cause that I definitely would have been like, a couple BBYs ago being like, excuse me, point of order, sir. That's a battle droid?
This is an actual war crime to use these droids.
You have to defund our police because we have battle droids, and I know how that goes.
It does speak to the over-militarization of the Imperial police, that's for sure. Speaking of which, there's one other thing I wanted to talk about with this regard to this episode, and I think that, resonated with me having watched quite a lot of coverage of the anti-ICE riots that we've been having here in America, and just sort of the nitty-gritty details that this show gets right about, like the stormtroopers, the way the Empire sort of sets up to draw the protesters out by clearing the square. And then as the protesters come out, they use the stormtroopers to sort of box them in, right? We sort of see this from Cassian and Willman's point of view and some of the other Ghorman. And then we also get to see sort of how violence is instigated even before the false flag thing goes off, which that is important as well, right? The shooter that is basically on the other side of the line, right? You could confuse that bullet as having come from a protest, or that laser gun shot as having come from a protester. This is something that honestly I saw during some of the ICE riots, anti-ICE protests in LA, was like stories of people obviously agitating by jumping into the crowds and like either throwing stuff at protesters or throwing stuff at the police. But we also get to see this idea of like the police being ordered to go out and clear a path. for no reason, right? Like it's just because the dude with the scar on his face, who when they introduce him, this Captain Kaido guy, I'm like, should I know who this is? Like, they introduce him as if he is an existing character, which I think is very funny because when I looked him up later on the Wikipedia, he's not. He's complete invention of the show. This is the entirety of his Star Wars screen time. But he's got this like scar. He's got a little bit of lore. You know, he's the guy who's here for crowd control. And, you know, he knows what he's doing when he's like, I need you to go clear a path through that crowd with the idiot patrol. And he knows that will cause some kind of violence. They don't even necessarily need the false flag shot, I would say. Like, eventually something would have happened and created a violent situation and given them what they would use as an excuse to start shooting.
Also, is in comparison to the anti-ICE uprisings, if you send in young, inexperienced officers, they're going to pop off much easier.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and if you use, I think this is one of the things that I saw in the LA protests. If you're sending the military in, they're not the right people. They're not trained for that, right? They're not trained to understand the line between someone expressing their First Amendment right and someone who actually poses a danger, right? Stuff like that. So I think this is all very just visceral. It's not particularly instructive because things don't go well for the Ghorman, so don't take any big lessons from this other than solidarity against the fascists. But the one thing that we can be potentially useful here is the way this show presents how consent is manufactured through the media, because I think it's really here in these episodes. And I joked at the top in the intro when I said I'm displaying an inexplicable resistance to imperial norms, but there's this great cut I think it's in this episode where it cuts from Anton Lesser's character, where he is saying that the Ghorman are displaying an inexplicable resistance to imperial norms, and it cuts immediately to a reporter in the square saying the exact same thing. And it's all about how the messaging from the Empire, you know, and we see this when we visit with Cyril's mother and we hear the news report that she's getting. It's all about how there were these dangerous rebels who are anti-empire, and they were hell-bent on being violent, you know, these savage people. When we watched them, they were singing their national anthem, right? And how they were intent on destroying all that is good and holy and democratic about the world in the Empire, and resisting the norms. And it's repeated several times over in this block of episodes we see in news broadcasts, and that is how it ultimately manufactures consent from the rest of the public in the galaxy for the Empire to do what they're doing on Ghorman and ultimately get away with it, right? Like this, we get this broadcast at the end of this episode, which is heartbreaking, and I'm sure resonates with many of the people who hear it. But we know, because we've seen the other Star Wars movies, that Ghorman is not the event that gets the rebellion going, you know, despite the fact that it should be clear at this point what the Empire is really about, right? Like, they're literally doing genocide. A senator stood up and said they're doing genocide. How much more evidence do you need? But you can see how the media is running cover for the Empire pretty hard. Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot this week, because, well, I love the thing about, you know, like making a path just for no apparent reason. Because I don't think it was until like the Occupy Wall Street protest that I was like kettled for the first time, which is just like they sort of like get you off the protest route and into like a little contained place where there's just like you're there and it's hard to get in and out, but that's how they keep you under control. And then like there were reports, obviously at that time period, didn't happen to my group, but they would just like kettle group and they just like bear spray the whole group, you know, just to like subdue them.
Yeah. I saw one report in this past couple of weeks, LA protests, where there was a plainclothes dude who was clearly like a cop in plain clothes who just ran into behind the protest crowd with bear mace and just started spraying protesters from behind.
Yeah.
It's like insane.
And then luckily nobody fought back, just continued protesting. And then obviously with like the media thing, like the whole battle that we're still having with the administration over like the pro-Palestinian college protests where they would like occupy parts of colleges, which, you know, we used to celebrate as like a place to exercise your free speech. But now the government is saying that that's not what those spaces were, but has not really been backing it up with reporting like other people who've been trying to characterize them in different ways. I don't want to say some very key words in America right now, so I don't need to, because thank God we got Star Wars.
But you can very clearly see the way that the media runs. Ultimately, by repeating this messaging and not challenging this messaging coming out of the empirical core, right, or the administration in our real world context, the less they challenge some of this nonsense, the more regular people don't get the truth. And I feel like that builds to sort of what we get in the next episode with Mon Mothma's speech, where it's like the Star Wars universe now lives in a post-truth world. And it's like, oh, I can relate.
So my lore fun fact here for the Mon Mothma episode is after she exits this episode, she does join up with the crew of the Ghost over in Star Wars Rebels, as there's like a little handoff before she gets all the way to Yavin. But because of that, she actually is able to give a second transmission after having been, you know, sort of ousted from the Senate, had her broadcasts cut off. She successfully flees, but then once she gets to, I believe, Dantooine, but once she gets to another rebel outpost, she's able to send a broadcast, and she basically sends an open channel broadcast, and she's the one who groups together these various rebel factions and starts making something like Yavin a little bit more solid and have support in different places. So, like, not that we, you know, necessarily... Once Mon Mothma makes the statement, that is when things really kick off with something like the Rebel Fleet. Because, like, right now they're a group of people doing spycraft. They're not a collection of people that have a whole bunch of, like, war supplies. That'll change once this sort of, like, battle cry goes out. And Mon Mothma does it once she fully escapes Coruscant. But I do like... having already known that part of canon and having already seen Genevieve O'Reilly voice that character on Rebels, because she also voices the animated version of Mon Mothma, it was fun to see this take place and to have it take place in a series like Andor that can afford to render the Senate. Our good old Oathkeeper is back, taking a quorum with his little hat.
Yep. Amazing hat.
But yeah, I also love this. I love all the spycraft about it. I love sort of Mon Mothma once she commits, how she gets sunk very deep, very quickly into what it means to being a figurehead of this rebellion, and just how dangerous it is, because she's been doing a lot of... At the beginning of the episode, she's like, or at the beginning of this run of episodes, no, it is at the beginning of this episode, she talks to Luthen, and she's still mad that, you know, she had to have her friend killed to fund this rebellion. And she has no idea how intense things are about to get for her. Don't worry, there's a space wizard boy on Tatooine who's going to be coming along in a little bit. She's got to wait 2 years.
She'll be fine.
She'll be fine.
Yeah. Incredible stuff. And then we sort of end in an interesting place with Yavin and Cassian obviously waking up a KX droid. Can't wait to see what he's all about.
Well, and Bix is gone.
And
so
Bix is gone, which is significant.
After Ghorman was very intensely in one place, this third episode really does a great job with its cross-cutting and score. whether everybody's waiting for something to happen, and for a while they don't know what Mon Mothma's actually going to do, when she's going to do it, and we got to cut back and forth, and then finally at like the Bix saying goodbye while we're seeing Cassian search for her. Pretty special.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, here's the question though, Dave. I think, I mean, it seems obvious to me, given the speed at which he was running to try and find her, that the reason why Bix did it this way is because she knew that Cassian would give up the rebellion for her.
Mm-hmm.
And my question to you is, because my answer is yes, I absolutely would give up the rebellion for Bix. My question to you is would you as well? Would Bix have to go through all this trouble to break up with you as well?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or would you be, full on rebellion company man and be like,
I mean, what a weird
Sorry,
time to
wife.
say this, Neil, because you're basically like, when it comes to it, am I gonna save Java or society? And like, that's
oh
real
no,
tough.
not applicable to real life. We're just talking about a hypothetical. You live in Star Wars.
Oh, I live in Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can even see yourself as Cassian Andor. I'm not trying to get you in trouble here.
Adria Arjona is one of the hottest humanoids in the Star Wars universe. So, like, yes, I would leave
Sure.
with Bix.
Yeah, so it's understandable that she had to do it this way because
Also, they live in a Star Wars world, where there's provably magic.
Sure.
And I think the magic people should work some shit out for me.
That's true. That's true. But I will say, from an execution of a television show and a continuity standpoint, I do kind of like this, right? Like, one of the things that Andor was going to have to do was explain where, if they introduced Bix and keep her around, they were going to have to explain why she wasn't there for Rogue One.
Right.
And so I think this is actually a really sort of good, satisfying, obviously significantly more satisfying than killing her off.
Yes.
I'm glad they have not done that, at least not yet. And, if this is the last time these two ultimately see each other, I think ultimately a fairly satisfying way to bring their relationship to a close in a way that doesn't make me feel like super bad knowing Cassian's ultimate fate in, I mean, how close are we? We're what, a year away now?
2 years out.
2 years out from Rogue One?
Rogue One.
Okay. So yeah, so he's, the clock is ticking for this dude.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some of our general awards for all three of these episodes. Neil, who is your BBY MVP for this year in Andor?
Well, listen, you stole the best one, the most obvious one, when you made the notes, which is fair. But I had another one in mind that was obviously not as impactful for the galaxy overall, the fate of the entire Republic, but I think for the audience, also similarly inspiring performance, and this is Drina from Ghorman. This is she eventually has a little bit of a romance with our guy Willman, who has quite a lot to do over these 3 episodes.
Has a very similar origin story if you think about Ferrix.
That's true. So, and Drina appears to be like the communications person for the Ghorman front. And she's there at the massacre. She survives the massacre, even though it's going horribly for everyone. She is also the one who does the big final broadcast, the heartbreaking broadcast that is causing Cassian and all of us to cry. And then we find out later in the final episode of this block that she may or may not have saved Willman's ass and ultimately helps him they're in Coruscant, right? At the end?
In the safe house.
And I would assume eventually they're going to link up with the other rebels. Well,
I mean, they both lived through Ghorman.
Yeah.
So that's
her being one of our few surviving Ghormans, which I do, especially when we get to the storm, I do want to talk about like an ultimate fate check on Ghorman, because it's not clear to me. But Drina, welcome to the rebellion as well. Like, Mon Mothma's not the only one who like uprooted her life and joined the rebellion and was very impactful for its momentum.
And good job, Drina. Wilman's last girlfriend got left behind in the cornfields.
I guess that's true.
Drina was good enough to airlift her out.
Maybe she's too good for Wilman, but I'm happy for those kids.
I mean, I don't know where I'm on Wilman right now. Like, he's a super radical, but also last time we saw him, he was huffing some Rhino with Saw Gerrera.
That's true.
So
that's true. He is. I mean, then again, it's funny because when he first shows up at the beginning of that first episode, I'm like, he is very much Luthen pilled, right? He's very on the radical side, but he's not wrong, right? Like, killing Dedra would be a very good idea for this specific crew of people because she is a problem for the rebellion. And so, like, do the means meet the end, make it worth it? Maybe.
Well, it's bringing us closer in line with the Cassian we're going to start at Rogue One with, who's a little bit harder than the Cassian at the beginning of Messenger.
Yeah, maybe Wilman's just kind of already there at that point.
My BBY MVP is Mon Mothma, arguably kicking off the rebellion here. I know Luthen had a lot to do with it, but maybe we'll have time to deal with that sometime in the future. This is Mon Mothma's time to shine, and I just want to give it to her in this week in America where all our Congress people and all our senators are about to do horrible things to us.
Sure.
I wish there was some Mon Mothmas out there. That would be fun.
We need more Mon Mothmas to make speeches or do fucking anything, literally anything.
Make a speech, leave, and lead a rebellion. That's specifically what I'm asking for.
Yeah, okay. I'm for that as well. And I agree with definitely giving it to her over Luthen, because Luthen is, he's still obviously working for the cause, but he's still doing so in the shadows. Whereas Mon Mothma, this is her moment to step into the light and really put it all on the line, Yeah.
And Luthen's so fatalistic about how they're all going to die before something happens. Sure. I appreciate Mon Mothma's pro-life rebellion
She's
stance.
Like, I want to live so that we can win.
Yeah.
Luthen's like, I want to go down in a blaze of glory so that everyone will be inspired.
And you know what? Mon Mothma probably works out for her a little bit more than any of these early rebels. Yeah. All right. Title this movie. Mm-hmm. Each one of these blocks is about a length of a feature film. Maybe they could have been released as feature films. If you were to make this run of 3 episodes a movie, what would you call it, Neil?
Well, I was tempted to call it Star Wars The Breakup Episode, because it is about some rough breakups. Mon Mothma breaks up with the Senate. Deetra and Cyril have a breakup of sorts, and obviously Bix and Cassian. But that's too silly. I am going with Star Wars The Empire Unmasked, because while this is not obviously the moment where the galaxy learns what the Empire's like true scope and scale of their genocidal plans are, right? That's not until they blow up Alderaan, or at the very least, I guess it would be Alderaan, right? Because it's not destroying Scarif, because they don't even blow up the whole planet.
I mean, they blow a big chunk out of Jeddah, but I guess Alderaan is the one that
Alderaan's the one where it's like, oh shit, now it's on.
Well, Alderaan's also the first one after they dissolved the Senate. The Imperial Senate's dissolved at the beginning of Rogue One, so maybe you have some spin with these other ones.
Sure. And obviously, Order 66 should have given people a little bit of a hint that things were going to go bad. But, that was a long time ago at this point. So I think, but this is sort of a key unmasking point about an empire that seems to have gotten this far operating as a reputable is a weird word, but like a stand-up institution that at least wanted to let the public believe that they're still doing the right thing. And I feel like this is where that starts to come undone.
They're still bothering with manufacturing consent.
Yes. Yeah, there will come a point where, again, they dissolve the Galactic Senate. They don't give a fuck what anyone thinks anymore. We're full fascist tilt, full dictatorship under the Emperor. But this is, the Ghorman Massacre feels like a very key moment, and these episodes are built around it, that unmasks sort of their willful disregard for anyone in the galaxy's humanity or personal autonomy, I guess, in the case of people who aren't humans.
Yeah. I like that one. Empire Unmasked, good. Also works really good with the Star Wars : Star Wars, the Empire Unmasked, I like.
Sure.
I'm not sure I could get that in, so mine might have to be a Star Wars story.
Okay.
But I'm pitching In the Shadow of the Death Star because I was thinking, like, you could just call this the Ghorman Massacre. That would probably fit it. But that's not how movies are marketed. You don't, like, if you tell me the movie's name is The Force Awakens, I don't know what happens in the movie. And I feel like In the Shadow of the Death Star is a good one where, like, everything here is inevitable only because the Death Star is so close. They need that calcite. They haven't been able to find anything else.
And the twist is that the Death Star, not in the movie.
Death Star, not in the movie. That's my twist, because you're just in the shadow of it.
Got it.
But I do that's my pitch. That way, I think people, you get the butts in the seats.
Mm-hmm.
Will they give me a bad cinema score because there's no Death Star in my Shadow of the Death Star movie? Who knows? There was a little bit of Death Star at the end of Andor season 1. Maybe that's just like, it is part of the soup.
Sure. The Death Star is expensive. It's got a good agent, so
yeah,
we can't use it too much.
All right, it's time for The Dead Speak. It is our best line award. Neil, what's your favorite line from these 3 episodes?
I'm going one right at the end. I'm choosing the Rebellion from Bix. Adria Arjona crushing it in this whole monologue, direct address to camera, getting right up close. Fantastic stuff. One of the few moments that that you can put together in a show like this that is both heartbreaking, obviously, because it's ending a relationship between 2 characters we like, but I'm also kind of like, yeah, this is great because it means Bix is still alive. Right? Good. It's good for those of us who want to see Bix make it through these 12 episodes not dead. And but sad for all the shippers out there. And but again, we need Cassian to be in a very specific place when this show ends. And that is alone with his droid friend, very committed to the rebellion.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bix is gone for a couple of hours, and they're like, hey, your new buddy's ready to get booted up.
Exactly.
Swappy swap. Mine is part of the Mon Mothma speech, but I think my favorite part. The death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil. When that truth leaves us, when we let it slip away, when it is ripped from our hands, we become vulnerable to the appetite of whatever monster screams the loudest.
Oh man, it feels like she could be talking about just about anything there.
Uh-huh.
The galaxy, Earth.
Marvel Rivals competitive mode.
Yeah, Marvel Rivals competitive mode. No, good piece of writing right there. And universal truth, it seems, about what happens when truth goes away, when you live in a post-truth world.
A post-truth world. You're mad as hell, and maybe you're not going to take it anymore. All right, I think we're going to head into the storm here in a little bit. Neil, is there anything else we need to tell the people about these episodes of Andor?
I feel like we got it. I feel like we kind of nailed it, and I have a few questions. Oh, shout out to the practical the camera droids that they used for
yeah.
all the news. I mean, they're manufacturing consent through them, but they're actual practical droids, which I thought was cool. They had been digital in the prequel series previously, but I think it's neat that they built them.
You say what you will about the Disney Plus Star Wars streaming period, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. They spent so much money on it. I'm very happy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, join us in the storm if you would like. Otherwise, we will see you next Wednesday. All right, we're back in the storm. Neil, big year elsewhere in Star Wars in this BBY.
It seems so.
So, first one, big thing. One of my favorite Star Wars moments of the Disney era. Maul's final duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine happens this year.
Okay.
And this is because they did not use George Lucas's sequel series idea. The end of Maul, we're pretty sure. That's where he actually dies.
Yeah. I mean, he's survived some pretty rough. He survived being cut in half.
He did. He survived being cut in half.
You never know, but we got to let him go at some point. He's cool, but we got to let him go at some point. We're going to get another
animated series with Maul and voiced by Sam Witwer.
Sure.
But I do think it takes place before this. I think this is where... Why didn't Darth Maul show up in the original series? Because Obi-Wan unfortunately killed him on Tatooine.
Hell yeah. And I do think if they continue making Star Wars things and continue letting creators flourish within the Star Wars universe, they will eventually create an evil character who's just as cool as Darth Maul.
Oh, yeah.
They just got to keep trying. They don't need to keep going back to that well.
We also have Mon Mothma's official rebellion announcement, which I told you about. After she gets to a safe distance, she's like, it's a call all. You have safe space if you reach out for the rebellion, which unfortunately does get a little less safe. During this time period, there is another base besides Yavin because there are all these separate cells. The people of Star Wars Rebels are over with General Dodonna, who is an original character from A New Hope. So he's the guy who's sort of giving the Death Star speech in that first movie. Mm-hmm. He's over with the Rebels over at a base they call Chopper Base, named after the droid, nice. On a planet called Atelon, which has this very cool creature on it called the Bendu, who is like a large creature, like a mini kaiju, I guess. And they are force sensitive, but they are neither light nor dark. They're like an in between. They're a middle way of the force.
Oh,
so they have like knowledge of the force, but don't inherently believe
these
in
are
any
cool.
Sith or Jedi
like
traits.
Minotaur, kind of.
That's a good way of thinking about it, like a giant minotaur.
Giant
a little bit.
Minotaur with like moose horn sort of thing,
with like a yak mouth.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
They're pretty sweet. So there's one of those on Atelon.
I think I fought one of these in that Claire Obscura video game.
He's pretty cool. Cool character. Anyway, unfortunately, this is the year that Grand Admiral Thrawn brought in to put down these rebels. It finds this base, the Chopper Base, and attacks it. And luckily, they're able to get some help from the Mandalorians. And they're able to get some help from the Bendu, and they're able to evacuate Chopper Base. But that is the event that happens after these episodes of Andor, but before Rogue One, that drives the rebels to be based out of Yavin instead of out of this Chopper Base, which is their previous place of origin.
All right.
So now everybody's coalescing around Yavin to make like a real rebellion. And it's pretty great. Saw Gerrera, off screen in this year, goes to Geonosis, that planet full of large bugs from Attack of the Clones, and comes across a single Geonosian who's guarding a single egg, which is very weird because there's supposed to be a whole hive of them. And Saw Gerrera discovers that the Empire has genocided Geonosis.
Man, they just love doing genocide.
that was in the timeline of the Death Star. That I believe that Geonosis was a place that they started doing construction on it when it was still on planets, and then eventually it started assembling it in space. But Geonosis, also a place that we see the Death Star plans come from in Attack of the Clones. They're handed off to Count Dooku. So to hide the existence of the Death Star, they genocide a whole planet of bug people, except for one existing male, I believe, and egg. And Saw Gerrera not only proves the genocide by finding some gas canisters, but manages to save maybe the future of the Geonosans. So,
all right.
Hopefully that egg hatched.
That's a win. That's a W for Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, he needs some in these final BBYs. And then finally, if you like Darksaber lore, Sabine Wren of the Ghost Crew.
I love Sabine Wren lore.
Yeah. She reunites with Clan Wren on Mandalore, and this is where she defeats Gar Saxon, who was the previous owner of the Darksaber. So this is where she earns the Darksaber through combat, is here in 2BBY.
And this is well before the Mandalorian ever gets his hands on it.
Yes, but Sabine, being nice, realizes that she's more valuable to the rebellion than she is to Mandalore. So she gives Bo-Katan the Darksaber, which leads to Bo-Katan eventually being exiled, because you can't give somebody the Darksaber. And they go over it in The Mandalorian season 3 about why Bo-Katan is mad and why it should be hers. So Sabine, great intentions. Sort of burning of Mandalore. So the Mandalorians are still around. They're dealing with the Empire in their own way. She has a pretty good run with Clan Wren and a pretty good run with the Darksaber. And this is how she sort of like gets the idea maybe that she should be a Jedi, and eventually becomes Ahsoka's Padawan, is by training with the Darksaber and Kanan on Attilan. So there's a bunch of stuff going on because we're all being funneled toward, I believe, and I don't know if this is BBY2 or BBY1, but I also believe later this year in a comic, like K2SO meets Chewbacca on like a rebel mission.
Okay.
So there's lots of fun stuff in 2BBY. We're definitely at the time in Star Wars canon where we're close enough to both Rogue One and A New Hope that lots of stuff is happening.
Sure.
So,
all these people are around somewhere.
Yeah. Next week is going to be a little chaotic because it technically takes place in, if we were counting down, it would be the 1 BBY year, but it goes right up to 0 because we start Rogue One at the end of Andor season 2. So there's going to be a ton of events happening. You know, like Luke's going to go to Tassi Station, like all this shit's going to happen next week as we approach the Y in the BBY ABY system.
Indeed.
So Neil, do you have any questions to go here?
I have two things that are kind of, picking at me this week.
Yeah.
The first is I tried to look up the size of the Galactic Senate. Like how many members are there in the Galactic Senate? And I was unable to ascertain. It seems like this number could be in the many thousands, or it could be like 2,000. But what is your read on how big the Galactic Senate is? Does like each planet get a senator? Each member planet?
Each planet gets a senator.
Okay. So each planet gets a senator, and there are potentially many thousands of planets, I would assume, because it's a big ass galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a pretty big room, obviously.
It's a very big room with lots of floaties in it.
Yep.
I would say thousands, not like tens of thousands, but I could see thousands happening.
So like under 10,000 though, but
yes.
Thousands for sure. Now,
yeah.
Here's the political question is the more interesting question. At this point, when Mon Mothma is giving this speech, if they were to vote on a resolution, let's say, to help the Ghorman people, what percentage of the Senate do you think votes in favor of the Ghorman cause? Like, how popular is the Emperor at this point? Does he have like a 90-10 grip on the Senate? Or are there more that would vote against him?
I would say, how popular is the Emperor at this point? I would say the Emperor at this point is a PR ghost. Like, you could say a lot of stuff about what the Emperor says and thinks, but like, I don't think scarred Palpatine showed up in front of the people a lot. That's not a face you could trust, you know?
Sure.
And I feel like...
But he still seems to have quite a lot of political sway.
Right. But every year you indoctrinate, a new group of senators with this oath that is like pledging oath to an empire. And, not necessarily to great emperor that makes us safe, but like, I gotta imagine if the media is still up and running, then he might be popular enough to he might be able to shoot down Ghorman. Because like in the real world, that when we've seen a minority group, in which case Ghorman, this is, we're saying maybe as small as 1/2000th of the Senate is one Ghorman representative. They're like, hey, what you're hearing from absolutely everybody else isn't true. Like, could you please stop sending military here? That's like less than a Gavin Newsom saying, can you please stop? So I kind of feel like it just would have happened. It would have happened anyway, because the Senate would have been like, well, the Gores, they're always acting up, because it's a years long campaign. Like, we need to put down all these, different boogeymans that we're having now, because, we've seen what happens when you don't keep Trump from office. What happens in the next 4 years? What are we not keeping from office now?
Sure.
So I feel like that they're a little too, they're like over a decade in this empire system now. I feel like he's probably got a pretty good control over even who's being appointed and why.
Yeah. So I think I agree. I feel like he's probably got a pretty solid, strong majority in the Senate, which I think, ultimately makes it even more like there's that moment where the Ghorman representative is in the final episode of this block, where the Ghorman senator is being arrested, or the ambassador, I think, right? He's being arrested, and he says to Bail Organa, like, today it's my people, next time it's going to be yours, which is ironic because Bail Organa's planet is literally a couple of years away from being exploded, like completely. And so I think that's true. Now, speaking of Ghorman, this is my other question. Given what we know about the timeline, right, that eventually they finished the Death Star, but that the rebellion fairly quickly destroys the Death Star, the first Death Star, and turns the tide on the Empire and sets off the events of the movies. What do we think the fate of the planet Ghorman is, right? Because they don't really come back to it a lot, I don't feel like.
I think it gets strip mined.
You think it gets fully strip mined and is like the resettlement goes all the way through and it's just destroyed?
I think there are Ghorman refugees throughout the galaxy, but I think it's completely gone. Because Neil,
my thought was on the timing of it, which is like, is it quick enough? Does the rebellion pop off quick enough to save Ghorman from being completely destroyed? Right? Like, does the Empire eventually just be like, we've got to pull out of Ghorman and we got to go deal with the rebels on the other side of the galaxy? But
then where would they get the Calcite for the second Death Star? If Calcite's that important, I think I think that planet
does the second Death Star use Calcite, or did they find?
Why would it not use Calcite?
I guess that's true.
There are a lot of questions I have about the second Death Star. My assumption is the second Death Star had very few engineering tweaks because you have all these systems, worldwide systems, like now that we're in the storm, we could say like Dedra probably builds Death Star 2
Sure.
on Arcana 5. So it's like they have all these systems in place just to churn out like another version of the project. So I think that's
Sure.
most likely what I think happens.
You assume they were going to make more than one from the beginning, right? Because why make one nuclear bomb when you can make many?
Why would you need more than one? I guess it just...
I mean, I'm not sure why you need one, but there you go.
I'm pretty sure the reason that we will never know the size of the Galactic Empire is because we will always have questions, especially as with a series that's so good at retroactive continuity. You can't put a cap on who's being represented, I don't think. Otherwise, maybe we wouldn't get Ghorman and the Calkite because we already have all the planets named.
That's true.
I'm fine with the flexible set it. I do like the novels I've read that take place in like some sort of Star Wars government, but I don't think that's necessarily a place for the live action shows to go. I think Andor getting Mon Mothma out of Coruscant is probably as deep as we need to go.
Yeah. Well, and I think
various Senate things.
I think Andor had a perfect in to that world with Mon Mothma because it could double as an exploration of what sort of high society in the galaxy was doing, right? Because we spent so much time in that part of her world. And then we get this little detour into the politics, and then she gets to join the rebellion and, move on from there into her movie storyline. So I feel like it's a perfect opportunity. Would I watch a show that's all about Senate politics in the Star Wars world? Maybe. You get a good enough cast. Get somebody good to write it. Why not?
You remember Troopers, the cops parody about stormtroopers?
Yeah.
I would watch a show like that was like Veep, but in the Galactic Senate.
Yeah, there you go.
Because you gotta make it a comedy.
Sure.
You gotta be like,
make it about one specific senator from some weird planet.
Yeah, you got to be like, the Rancor population was not meant for Felucia. They're destroying the ecosystem. Can we please set up, some things here? Then, someone has to go catch the Rancor on Felucia and, do.
And Dan fucks it up.
Yeah, no, I think everything about how the galactic government works is we yada over so many details, but then also because it was written during, I think, the George W. Bush era, and a whole bunch of this was on George Lucas's mind. It's also like, and also we need to deal with a vote of no confidence. Again, the craziest thing George Lucas did is being like, I'm going to give you more Star Wars. We're going to start off with a trade blockade of this planet Naboo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, what a pivot from a Space Wizard laser sword series with
it brings up an interesting
planet-sized gun.
It brings up an interesting question. Where do you think George Lucas would put Andor among, like, if we sat him down and put a blaster not to his head, we'll just have a blaster in the room threateningly to George. We want to be nice to him, and we made George Lucas not only watch all of the non-George Lucas Star Wars things of this era, but then rank them. Do you feel like this would be more his shit, or do you think George would gravitate more toward the stuff that is deeply invested in the Skywalker stuff, like Obi-Wan? Like, if we asked George Lucas to rank just the Disney Plus Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Is he an Andor head, or is he an Obi-Wan guy?
I think he's going to be more of an Obi-Wan guy because, like, ultimately, Star Wars is fantasy. Star Wars has more in common with, like, Game of Thrones than it does with, like, hardcore political science fiction. But Andor gets a little bit more towards science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
The Star Wars part of it is it does have to sort of, like, justify itself with an action scene. But I would say, like, George Lucas would be like, Andor is missing a fast vehicle chase, whether it be like a speeder or like a spaceship or like, he would have liked season 1 because he would have liked all that stuff in the eye.
He would have had
Arcana and stuff
someone
like that.
chasing Mon Mothma and Cassian through the streets of Coruscant in the 3rd episode of this block.
I just feel like George Lucas is like, if you're going to do a spectacle, like his Ghorman massacre would have been so much more droids.
Sure.
Because he just would have been like, what can I do that's the most here? He's a spectacle, serial driven.
Sure. I guess I wonder if he has any, if it's worn on him the way that the franchise has continued to be so focused on like the Jedi, and if he appreciates in some way that a show like Andor is getting more into like the struggle of the rebellion, right? To get back to the rebellion.
I think he should be, because I do think it's doing something that he couldn't do. So it's good, and it's something that George Lucas I don't think would be capable of doing, even if he was trying to do. And so I think he would be able to acknowledge that, because George Lucas, we may disagree with some of his like storytelling decisions, but I do think he's a friend of filmmaking and a friend of technology in filmmaking. So he would be the two of us being like, this show looks great. I'm glad they spent enough money to make it look great. But like, I don't know how much George Lucas thinks about revolutionary tactics and the media anymore.
That's true. He's an old billionaire.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. He's can think about other things, and has made the decision that he would. Mm-hmm. And I want to applaud him for doing that. I will say the one thing that has always been super curious about me, for me, about the Disney era versus the George Lucas era is like just how much the like villains are better in the Disney era. Like they're better utilized. Like I realized the prequel series has, Anakin sort of and a Hayden Christensen performance that is what it is.
Sure.
But like, Dooku and Grievous and Maul, the sort of like one and dones, have some style to them, but they aren't terrifying. And we get these sort of idea that both like the clone troopers and the battle droids are both kind of like faceless, so it kind of doesn't matter if they're shooting each other. And then the original trilogy stormtroopers are so inaccurate. Mm-hmm. And then Rogue One comes in and is like, what if Darth Vader was terrifying? Like, because to non-Force people, Darth Vader's terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I realize you just saw him get owned by, everybody again. But to non-lightsaber people, Darth Vader's terrifying. And they really made that work. And I think they really did a great job with the Darth Vader comics and sort of fleshing out those really early years where he's like going about trying to resurrect Padme and bleeding lightsabers and running the Inquisitorius, which is an idea from the Disney era of sort of like Darth Vader hunting the final Jedi. I think that's all cool. And then here, when we get to the Ghorman massacres, the masked stormtroopers and the security droids seem like huge escalations that are just terrifying by when they show up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we are worried about masked ICE agents here because you can't tell if they are or not, telling that they are stormtroopers because they have the official government armor and you can't see their face, it will be more terrifying when we get to that next step. Mm-hmm. When the official government armor shows up, that's when you're really fucked. And that's what I think makes the stormtroopers terrifying in this season. So sure. I do think...
And I agree. I also think it's a very big strength of this show in how they've cast their evil upper management of the Empire. Like they've crushed it. They found the most evil British people.
Yeah.
Or the British actors who can play evil the best, and are just letting them go to town on these characters. It's really great. Like they're good psychopaths. Like, yeah, very believable, psychotic fascists all over the place.
And then I think Disney's done a really good job at certain parts of the Star Wars universe, in just ways that I think George Lucas was inherently uninterested in. Like, I think he would have made a sequel trilogy much more about the Wills. So like They're even smaller than midichlorians, but they're the ones that are sort of like the Force incarnate.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wanted to get bigger ideas. He
Sure.
wanted each Star Wars trilogy to sort of get bigger. And I think that would have been interesting, but I do think the most interesting big Star Wars ideas I found in comic books and novels. And it's been fun because they are places where you get to spend, there's a Star Wars novel called Master and Apprentice that is about Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it's basically about how like the Jedi slavery in certain planets because they're like, we don't want to go overthrow every government that has slavery. But Qui-Gon Jinn fucking hates it. So he like shows up to planets and is like, man, we should really overthrow this system of government. And that's where Obi-Wan is like, oh, this is why Qui-Gon Jinn is dangerous in the Jedi like ideals. And like, that's a great book. If you would make a Should the Jedi Support Slavery movie, that would be a horrible movie. So I do think the big ideas sometimes are best dealt with fully. And sometimes the better place to do that is not a place where you have to make it about a laser sword fight every once in a while.
Sure.
And that's why, I'm happy that Andor's here. And I hope that this is a different type of storytelling. Since, they drove the Skywalkers right into the ground.
Sure.
That name's trash.
Well, we ultimately just hope that they learn the right lessons from Andor. But we'll see.
We will see. Who knows when we'll see.
That's true.
But we will definitely be talking more about Andor as we close out with the the saga of Luthen Rail and the build up to Rogue One next week with the final episodes.
And
10,
my favorite
11,
episode of the entire season, for sure.
Ooh, I can't wait to figure out which one that is. And some sort of trivia conclusion where hopefully Neil has a chance to win. We're still figuring some of this out.
Yeah, we'll see.
But be excellent to each other and remember Ghorman out there.